Yeah. All right, here we are live once again. We've got County Commissioner Craig Pierce. I'm actually gonna give it 60 seconds so people can chime on to see what's going on.
All right.
So I appreciate you having me over once again.
Always a pleasure.
Yep, I can't wait till you get that that vehicle restored and all that kind of stuff so I can take it out.
You're more than welcome.
Give it a spin. What is that vehicle, man?
It's a 72 Cutlass.
72 Cutlass.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We put a new motor, new transmission, new rear end, new interior, new paint. It's going to be a might as well say a resto mod.
Okay.
I didn't want to put it back factory because the suspension in those cars in those years just weren't very good. Neither was the braking system. So we changed all that to make it a good driving modern car.
Okay. Will it carry the mail?
It should. If it don't, I'll be real surprised.
Hey, I'm sure Curtis is doing great things. What's going on, Miss Shirley? Miss Shirley Barber, one of a good friend of mine, does a great job with the track team. Appreciate your friendship, Miss Shirley. Anyway, I'm at the home of Commissioner Craig Pierce. We wanted to speak about some things that are going on and taking place in the county. We've got early voting, as you guys know. Craig is, vying for a seat on the commission. And, we just, a lot of times things get put out in the discourse of public opinion, and sometimes they're not always accurate. So that's why we like to go to the source and check with the source to make sure that we got all the correct information. So, Mr. Pierce, what do you feel like in terms of early voting is going on? I'll let you open up.
Well, early voting's a little slow right now, but of course it's been raining for 3 straight days, and I don't expect a lot of people to go out in the rain to vote. But the biggest thing is there's been some slanderous ads in the Salisbury Post perpetrated by a group called the Rowan Alliance.
Yeah, who is Rowan Alliance?
Rowan Alliance is a bunch of cowards that came out against Jim Sides in 2014, and they're trying to tie me and Jim together as running together, and that's nothing further from the truth. I mean, Jim's running his campaign, I'm running mine. Unlike Klusman, Heads, and Green that are running tandem because their whole idea is they want to run as a group and keep control of the board. Well, they need to be running to take care of the taxpayers. They need to be there to offer up their opinions individually and not let one person dictate to the group how things are going to go. And that's one of the reasons we're in the mess we're in today, is they follow one person and don't question what he wants to do. And it really handcuffs the rest of the board because they never come to us and ask our opinions about what we'd like to see our county doing and how we'd like to move it forward. And I'm hoping that if I win this election this time, if I win through the primary at least and get on the ballot, I'm hoping that I can bring forth those ideas to the public, because I've never been asked since they've been on the board anything about what I'd like to do. The only things I've got accomplished over the last 3.5 years were things that I already had moving, already had in place. And of course, the most important thing for me right now is this county water and sewer down for the southern part of the county, because we do have a developer who wants to come. We are going to have a new interchange, and if this happens, this will light up the entire southern end of the county and bring prosperity to Rowan County like it's never seen.
Wow. And I'm seeing the beginnings of what's taking place in the southern part of the county because I'm in Kannapolis.
Right.
So I've seen that Kannapolis is actually taking the bull by the horns and have started to develop economically downtown Kannapolis, and so I'm seeing the change right before my eyes. It's almost kind of like musical chairs, so to speak, in terms of the 85. I saw something in the newspaper the other day about the 85 corridor where you weren't on board with what I don't even know who the engineer or architect is, but they said that the mayors were on board. And could you explain to
what this is there's a couple individuals that have been for the past decade trying to get the commission to come together and zone a 1-mile area each direction off I-85 and make it an industrial corridor. Well, the only problem with that is there's no infrastructure. So zoning it for strictly industrial development without having water and sewer there is just ridiculous. And the mayors, of course, what they didn't tell you, the mayors were not opposed to it. They didn't say they were for it. They simply said they weren't opposed to it.
Right.
Because the majority of the municipalities like Rockwell, even Granite Quarry, Gold Hill, Cleveland, they're not going to be affected by what goes on down the I-85 corridor to start with. They're too far away. Right. But when you limit what can come, when you limit that growth, and when you limit the amount of opportunities that the county will have to develop that I-85 corridor once water and sewer is down there, I mean, it's ridiculous. And to me, there's got to be an agenda there somewhere that's not being talked about as to why somebody would want to put our county in such restrictions. I mean, when you start saying industrial, I mean, you limit residential, you limit commercial, you limit housing, you limit everything down to, if you're not a plant coming here to build, let's just say BMWs, you're not going to be able to come to Rowan County.
Well, and I read it probably the same way that other people read it, and I'm sure other people opposed to the way that I read it. But the way that I read it was, if I'm a landowner, who has the right to tell me that what I can do with my property?
Well, to start with, we've had some of these conversations about what we want to do in the southern part of the county, and I've addressed this to several of the property owners. They said, I don't want you to come in and rezone my property. We're not going to come in and rezone. The only time it will be rezoned is if it's sold, and then whoever purchases it comes to the commission for a rezoning request. Right. If you currently have a 5-acre farm down in, let's just say, off of the old Beatty's Ford Road, if you've got a 5-acre farm or a 5-acre tract that your house is on, and you want to remain rural agriculture, RA designation, when this widening comes and the water and sewer goes in, you don't even have to hook up to water and sewer. Your land will stay that way until you decide that you want to sell it. Now, if you sell it and the guy comes in and says, well, I want to put a housing development in here on these 5 acres, right, it's still RA. He doesn't have to rezone it to do that. If he comes in here and says, well, look, you know, you're within 200 yards of the ramp here, I want to build a McDonald's, yeah, he's got to come and have its own CVI. But that will be up to the people that have purchased that property. The people that are currently living there have no fears about having it rezoned. Unlike what these people are talking about, they're going to put down an overlay that says 1 mile each direction off the center lane of I-85, east and west, will be zoned as industrial. Now, I want you to think about that. All that new shopping center that was built there off of Julian Road, Wallace Commons, as well as the shops on the summit, now all that will become an industrial corridor. Well, it's already got retail sales there. So see, right, this mixed use does not make any sense. It needs to stay away. Let the people that own the property dictate how they want to have their property zoned. Right,
I agree 100%. I mean, it's no different than, you know, someone coming into my house and telling me what bathroom I can use.
Yeah.
And so I'm definitely opposed of anyone that's trying to, you know, tell me what to do with what I own. So, you know, we've got early voting that's already started.
Right.
You know, I understand. I don't know what the numbers are as of yet. I don't know if you've heard.
I've heard, and I've heard the breakdown on it. And basically, I haven't checked through today because it rained again. I figured it was pretty light. But, you know, we're probably countywide at about 800 votes total. Low turnout is a signal to me that the citizens are not paying attention to what's going on. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this live feed. I wanted them to know that the future of this county is riding on this primary. If we don't get the right people on that ballot for November to carry this county to the end where it needs to be with this infrastructure that we need to put down in that southern part of the county, if we don't get it done, it won't get done. And when it doesn't get done, like I said last night at a forum, the only thing that'll happen with them widening I-85, it'll just help people get through Rowan County that much faster.
Right. And we'll lose a lot of economics.
Look, when you got a builder in the wings stating she wants to come here and build $600 million worth of tax base for our county, how can you not focus on that? I mean, right. I mean, to me, that's like a man saying, here, I got a wallet full of money I want to hand you, but to do that, you got to open the door.
Right. Is that something that's public?
She's already met with the commissioners and made a presentation. She's met with our EDC and made a presentation. And 2 of my opponents have sat right there and said, yeah, we agree we need to do it, but we don't know how we're going to pay for it. The cost to do the complete infrastructure package is less than what it costs to build a new elementary school in Woodleaf.
Wow.
So we can build a school, but we can't put infrastructure in that'll bring that type of tax base to us, that'll bring those type of revenues. And here's the other thing. How in the world can we ask a developer to come in here and invest into our county if we won't invest into it ourselves?
Right. That speaks volumes. And speaking about the county, where as a county, where are we economically in terms of borrowing power? Are we in good shape?
We have a AAA bond rating, which is the second highest rating issued by the state. We currently have, with our revenues that come in, we have the capability of probably borrowing up to $200 million.
Right.
And not having to do any type of major tax increase. Now, I would never borrow that kind of money all at one time, but I would be willing to look at a long-term package that identified all our infrastructure needs and all our capital needs for the county offices and those types of things, and put it on a structured takedown period. Just for example, the bond that we borrowed the money to build Carson and Southeast Middle School, that bond comes off in 2020. That's going to free up about $6 million per year for debt service. $6 million per year in debt service gives us borrowing power of about $75 million right there. Wow. So you could borrow that kind of money with no tax increase because we're paying it right now. Also, we've been able to benefit from the new sales tax that started in 2016, where they tax labor. That's people that do haircuts, beauty salons, even labor on heating and air, any of these kind of things. It puts about $2.2 million per year into the county. Now, the current board, without really looking into it, agreed to just go ahead and give the school system half of it with no justification of what it was being spent on. They didn't even request it. We just gave it to them. Wow. Which I thought was very irresponsible. But that still leaves $1.1 million per year for debt service, which allows us to borrow $15 million on a typical 10-year note. But water and sewer, because of the amount of money that it is, the lending institutions and the LGC, the local government commission, which regulates what the county can and can't take on debt, they take that loan out for 40 years. A 40-year debt service on what we need for water and sewer would be less than $600,000 a year. So the revenue stream is there without having to raise taxes to pay for this infrastructure. So to me, there is no reason why this can't happen. Yet the majority of my board doesn't see it that way.
Wow. Speaking about revenue streams and tax base, what is the airport providing for, what economic power does it provide to the county?
Well, what you have to understand about the airport is it's not supposed to be a money maker. Right. Okay. It's there to enhance our ability to bring corporate people to Rowan County to build their industry, whether it be commercial, whether it be industrial or whatever, even a mix. Because today's companies, they don't drive cars where they're going. They fly aircraft. And if we've got a nice aircraft or a nice airport for them to fly their jets in, a place to hang them overnight. We just finished up a new conference room, which allows up to 24 people to have a meeting area. If we have that facility, then they're going to be going, well, let's just put our aircraft at Rowan County. Naturally, that we get the tax base off the jet aircraft, we get the fuel sales, and we get all the residuals, such as them staying overnight, them going to the restaurants, and when they come here for an overnight meeting. So it's not just that, but what it says to the industrial college, I'll use that word, the people that this is what they do for a living, is that we're ready for business. We've done the things that makes them want to come to Rowan County. We're showing them that we are on a track to say, yes, we've identified what we need to have to attract that industry, and we've put it in place. So between the airport, the interchange, and the water and sewer, we've set ourselves up to be successful.
Right. And I most definitely agree. I think a lot of times we look at the right now and we don't look down the road, and we kind of miss out on opportunities. Just like with the West End Plaza. I've had several people to come up to me looking and wanting to, get a space, but, at the time you can't get a space. So
Well, that is a decision that the newcomers that came onto the board made, because when that was purchased, we'd already laid out the plan to move DSS and health out there to give them more the space that they need to take care of our citizens, as well as give them a lot better parking situation, and then use it as a public-private partnership to use people like you've called me about. They have an existing business they need to expand, or they have a new business they want to get started. We wanted to use that as a business incubator to give those people an opportunity to expand their business, hire more people, pay more taxes, and let the county help these people get started. But the decision was made by the majority of the new board that they did not want to lease anything. They did not want to do anything out at West End Plaza. They said because they didn't know what their long-range plans were. We already had the long-range plans. They turned around and spent $150,000 on a space need study that came back and said exactly what we'd already laid out.
Right.
But because it was coming from the previous board, they didn't want to take our knowledge and say, well, you guys have the plan, let's go ahead and move forward with it. They decided that they could do better by doing nothing.
Wow. I see that Jim Sides has put his hat in the ring and run for county commissioner. Is there, yeah, I know Mike Julian is also running as well, and you've got the current board. Is there anyone that you would like to, that you see yourself working with to?
Well, I leave that up to the citizens. I mean, they're the ones that look at the 6 candidates and decide who they want to represent them. Unlike the ads that I've seen in the Salisbury Post, I'm not running to have 2 seats. That's total fabrication. If I get elected, then the first thing I have to do the night we swear in is resign from my current position to take the next 4-year position. I do not get to pick who takes my place. It is a selection process that comes by the majority of the sitting board. So the 4 commissioners that are there will look and decide who they would like to have to take my place. The only requirement is they have to be a Republican, because I hold a Republican seat.
Right.
But I'm not the one that gets to say, oh, I want this guy over here to take my place. That's not the way it works. Also, I'm not running with Mr. Sides. I've served with Mr. Sides. I've known Jim being in the Republican Party for quite some time. And if that's who the citizens pick, I can work with Jim without any problem. If they pick Mike Julian, I can work with Mike Julian without any problem. If they pick one of the 3 incumbents that are running, I can work with anybody. I've had to do it for the last 3.5 years.
Right.
But I'm simply saying that I have no preference. As long as there's somebody there that the citizens feel like are representing their views, I'll work with whoever comes on board.
Wow. Is there anything that you'd like to, close with?
I'd just like to say I appreciate the respect and the encouragement that so many people have given me during this election cycle. I know it's a little bit different. I know that running midterm is something that I'm the first one in the state to ever do it. I didn't do it for notoriety. I didn't do it, as one guy said, well, you'll make history. I'm not doing this for that reason. I have a goal to bring water and sewer to the southern part of the county, and I cannot finish that goal in 2 years. And I feel like if I can get a 4-year term, then I can complete my commitment to the citizens, and then I can step aside and let somebody else take a turn. But I appreciate everybody that stands behind me. I appreciate everybody that's given me their support. And I promise to do my very best, as long as I'm on that board, to take care of my citizens.
Wow. And you heard it live here from Commissioner Pierce. And, I'll say a couple of words. Let's not do like we did in the election when we were trying to reelect Councilman Kenny Harden. You've got transparency. With Commissioner Pierce. The one thing that I love about him is you're always going to know where you stand. He's never going to lie to you. The thing is, if he can do it, he can do it. If he can't, he can't. And he's not afraid to pull the trigger. And that's someone that you want at the helm and making decisions for our county, and someone who understands finance and someone who understands budget. I think for the most part, what we've had a city council and a county city commission in the past, and a lot of people that are in the margins get hurt when you have these dual commissions and councils. So once again, make sure you get out and vote early. and make sure that you vote, and so that we can project, Commissioner Pierce as our continual county commissioner. Craig, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it too.
Absolutely. Signing off.